My dear students, you are most welcome to my online class today. Earlier, I noticed that I'm to come to online at 7 p.m. instead of 12 because I had a meeting at college. Anyway, today I want to discuss so hello. হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ উম, আচ্ছা আমি ক্লাস নিচ্ছি ক্লাসে আছে থ্যাংক ইউ I'm extremely sorry for interruption. Today I want to go through theme writing, though in some of my earlier classes, I already taught you this item. Anyway, today I will talk on two pieces, one page of prose and another piece of poem, so that you can have an idea how to write theme of a prose piece as well as of a poem piece. Now I am directly going to my content page. I see only one student is present in the class, but please write. Uh, I don't know who is present, but you are not writing anything. But please write in your comment box if you hear me clearly or not. If you hear me clearly or not. If you watch the content page, if you watch the content page clearly or not, please write. Assalamu alaikum, sir. That's Sabir Hassan, Jaira Khan. So thank you very much. You please write. I ask Jaira Khan and Sabir Hassan, if you hear me clearly and see the content page clearly, please write in your comment box. Please write in your comment box. Yes, thank you very much. So I'm to start my class. I am directly going to my content page, and you see, so far you can remember I in my last class I did a number of I solved a number of questions on this very passage on adolescence, the problems of adolescence. And today I have taken the speech or the portion, the extract into consideration from theme writing. I am reading out for your understanding the extract or the passage. Adolescents are different both from young children and adults. Adolescents are different both from young children and adults. So it is clear that adolescence, the age that is quite different from the age of children and adults. Especially adolescents are not fully capable of understanding complex concepts. So when one is in adolescence period, he or she is not supposed to understand complex concepts. or anything complex, anything not simple, or the relationship between behavior and consequence. That means at this very stage of life, that means when someone was in his or her adolescence period, it is difficult for him or her to understand the consequence of his or her behavior. That means he may not understand, he may not know what may happen, of the activities he is doing, or how he or she is behaving. That means he does not know the results of her or his behavior on the activity, or the degree of control they have or can have over health decision making. That means at this very stage of life, one is not in a position to have control over anything regarding health, over the activities that may cause harm to health, including that related to sexual behavior. So this inability may make them particularly vulnerable, that means weak, unprotected. This inability, that means at this very stage, he or she is not capable of taking decision about how he or she is to control her sexual activities. It is very important. To sexual exploitation and high risk behavior. Laws, customs, and practices. That means the law and rules of the country, practices. That means what people do. What people do are practices. So the rules of the country and what people do may also affect adolescents, because because most I'm sorry. Dear viewers, perhaps now understand, you can see the uh, content page. I'm reading out again for you. Adolescents are different both from young children and adults. Especially, adolescents are not fully capable of understanding complex concepts or the relationship between behavior and consequences. So, adolescence is a period of one's life when one cannot make proper and right decisions, number one. Number two, cannot understand what may happen or what he or she is doing. That means it's almost impossible for an adolescent to understand the results of his or her activities and behavior. Not only that, or the degree of control they have or can have over health decision making. So the factors that are very much important for health, about which an adolescent cannot have proper right control, including that related to sexual behavior. This inability may make them particularly vulnerable to, that means, as an adolescent cannot have proper control over his or her sexual behavior, he or she is quite unprotected to sexual exploitation and high risk behaviors. Laws, customs, and practices may also affect adolescents differently than adults because most of the laws, customs, and practices regarding sexual activities or sexual behaviors are in favor of the adults, not in favor of the children or adolescents. This is the problem. For example, laws and policies often restrict adolescents' access to reproductive health information and services. Very important point. Because when someone is married, the couple have the access to these services. When a person is married, the couple can go to take the service regarding reproductive health. And information about these behavior, especially when they are unmarried. In addition, even when services do exist, that means, yes, there are many points or many places where these type of services are available for everyone, but provider attitudes, that means the people who are working in those service centers are not ready to provide services to adolescents. About adolescents often pose a significant barrier to the use of those services. That means the people who are working in those centers are not cooperative to give services to the adolescents. So when an adolescent falls in such type of problem, he or she cannot receive or cannot have service from these centers. Anyway, so what is the theme, subject? It is very much clear that this very passage talks about the problems of adolescents, problems of adolescent people. Adolescents, we see in this very passage, are not capable of understanding complex ideas, complex concepts, number one. Number two, they don't know the results of their activities and behavior. Number three, they cannot have sufficient control over their sexual behavior. Number four, they are not most of the times allowed to take services of the health information centers because of their age. Number five, people who are working there actually do not give service. They do not give cooperation. So an adolescent is in real problems regarding understanding many things, regarding uh, health problems, especially sex health problems. So this is a very tender age, very non-cooperative age. So the theme adolescence is a period of hesitation and vulnerability. At this very stage of life, one suffers from hesitation. He is in always crisis of what he is to do or what he or she is not to do. This is hesitation. And he is, of course, vulnerable, unprotected, because he cannot understand complexities. He cannot have control over his sexual attitude behaviors. So there are many problems. That is why he is in vulnerability. The surrounding environment often proves unfavorable and non-cooperative to an adolescent. It is very much clear that even the service providers who work in the health centers are not are not in a mind to give services to an adult. That is why the surrounding, that means all the most of the people around him, even the members of the family, in most cases, neighboring people, even the healthcare people, the people working in the healthcare centers are not favorable, are not cooperative to the problems of adolescence. So, adolescence is a period of hesitation and vulnerability. The surrounding environment often proves unfavorable and non-cooperative to an adolescent. This is the theme. And another piece is a poem, that is the theme of the following poem, and a very, very famous poem by William Wordsworth, and the daffodils. The poem is on the subject, the daffodils. And the poet was actually greatly charmed by the beauty of the flower daffodil. Daffodil is a very beautiful flower, and it grows in clusters, uh, almost in many places in England, and other countries, mainly in England, especially in the countrysides, on the lake shores, banks of the lakes, banks of the rivers. This flower grows uh, huge in quantity, and when they are found huge in quantity, they actually the flowers actually look very beautiful, extremely beautiful and charming. And the poet was greatly charmed by the beauty of the flowers. And I'm reading out the poem for your understanding. I wandered lonely as a cloud. That means the poet was walking, and there was no any aim in his mind. That means the purpose of the walking. I wandered one lonely as a cloud that floats on high over valleys and hills. That floats on high over valleys and hills. That is the cloud. When cloud floats in the sky, it is seen that the cloud floats. That means flies high over valleys, hills, etc. When all at once I saw a crowd, lamb, huge in quantity, a lot, a host, in crowd. It's a meaning of golden daffodils. The color of daffodil flower is golden. The color of daffodil flower is golden. So the poet, when he was walking unmindfully, purposelessly, on a sudden he happened to see a lot of daffodil flowers uh, bloomed in clusters, host, beside the lake. Yes, beside the lake, lake পাশে, beneath the trees, গাছের নিচে, fluttering, waving, and dancing in the breeze. That means there was gentle breeze, very light air, not heavy air, but light wind, not air, we can't say yet. There was very light wind blowing, and because of the breeze or the light blowing of the wind, the daffodil flowers that was in clusters was fluttering, was waving and dancing. The poets thinks that the poet in his mind thinks that the flowers were dancing, continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way. So there are a number of comparisons and contrasts. You see, lot of comparisons. Continuous as that means the flowers were dancing continuously because of the blowing wind. The wind was blowing from one side to another side, from one uh, area to another area. That is why the flowers were actually moving their heads. And the poet imagines that the flowers were just like stars that shine and twinkle. We know stars in the sky twinkle on the Milky Way, and the poet has compared the moving heads of the daffodil flowers with the twinkle of the stars of the Milky Way, and are stressed in never-ending line. They stressed, that means they extend. They were seen in lot. That means the poet saw a lot of flowers in clusters. The poet did not see the end. That means where the flowers were not. It was not possible for the poet to see the end of the flowers along the margin of the bay. Along the margin of the bay, that means shore. Along the shore of the lake. Bay means here shore or the lake. 10,000 saw I at a glance. This is the imagination of the poet. It's not possible for the poet to count how many the flowers saw. 10,000, that was a huge quantity, huge number. At a glance. At a glance means ek nodor. Tossing. Tossing means here fluttering and tossing matha, ghorano matha chakano, their heads in sprightly dance. Sprightly means energetic, agile. That means the flowers are quite youthful, very lively. It was the imagination of the poet. The waves beside them danced. The waves beside them danced. You see here, that means flowers seemed waves of the lake, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. That means it is clear that the water of the lake. There was water in the lake, and there were of course waves. But the waves or the movement of the daffodil flowers was more beautiful, more charming than the waves of the water of the lake. Outdid means হারিয়ে দেওয়া, defeat করা. The sparkling waves in glee. Glee means আনন্দ. The poet could not but be gay. Very important line. Wordsworth say that he was very much delighted. The poet was quite delighted, cheerful, because of the sight, because the beautiful sight, the charming sight of the daffodil flowers. The poet was very much cheerful, delighted. In such a jocund company, jocund means lively, pranavantu. That means poet says that he took the daffodil flowers just like his friends, companion. I gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. The poet simply passed his time gazing at the beautiful daffodil flowers, but did not think at all there what wealth the show to me had brought. That means he could not understand what valuable thing, what valuable asset actually he got from the beautiful side of the daffodil flowers. He did think little. Little thought what উনি ভাবছিলেন না যে কি সম্পদ ওই সুন্দর ড্যাফোডিল ফ্লাওয়ার গুলো তার জন্য বই নিয়ে এসেছে। সম্পদ তো বটে, বিকজ পরবর্তীতে when he was in his tranquil condition, peaceful condition at home, he composed a poem on the flower. This is the indication. That means the poet composed this poem not just at the time when he saw the daffodil flowers. On the other hand, he composed the poem when he was at rest, in a peaceful mind, recollected the memories of the sight of daffodil flowers and compose this poem. This is the indication. Anyway, for oft means for often. When on my couch, sleeping pill sofa, I lie in vacant, free, or in pensive mood, thoughtful mood. They flash upon that inward eye. Very important line. The poet says that when he takes time, that when he was free from any kind of tension, any kind of thought, any kind of disturbance, the beautiful side of the daffodil flowers he experienced on the bank of the lake flashed upon his mind, which is the bliss of solitude, which is the bliss. Bliss means pleasure, solitude, loneliness. And then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils. This poem actually is just expresses the definition of the poem of William Wordsworth. According to William Wordsworth, especially a romantic poem is composed or written after real experiences of something, when the poet is quite free for any kind of disturbance of any kind of disturbances and in a very peaceful mood, the poem actually goes out of the poet's mind spontaneously. There is no any obstacles and disturbance in the mind of the poet, but not instantly when he or she experiences something. So this is the actual definition of the romantic poem of William Wordsworth. William Wordsworth actually composed this poem uh, many days after the actual experiences of the daffodil flowers, and when he was actually free from any kind of tension and disturbance, he was in peaceful mind. He composed this poem. And there are many, you see, many themes of the poem: solitude, nature, imagination, recollection, happiness. All these things are quite present in the. All these things are present in the poem. Solitude. You see here, solitude, nishangota, bliss. You see, pleasure, delight, and there is nature, of course. Nature, devilish nature, imagination. The poet here in this very stanza, the poet goes to his real experiences in his imagination. Recollection, he is recollecting. The poet actually composed this poem from the experiences of his recollection. Recollect means remember, মনে করা, স্মরণ করা, happiness, of course. Happiness and happiness, yes, happiness, bliss, happiness. So all these are the themes of the poem. So all these themes are accommodated in this two lines. The agony of loneliness, the pain of loneliness gets minimized. Yes, the agony or the pain of loneliness. Of course, the poet was quite lonely. I wandered lonely as a cloud. There was the purpose of walking or wandering. Of course, he did not have any very good experience. He was not in a very good mental condition. But when he came in contact with the beauty of the daffodil flowers, he became happy. His mind actually started dancing with the beauty of the daffodil flowers. So in contact of the beauty or charming beauty of nature, especially daffodil flowers, the poet became very much happy. So it's one thing. So that is why I have written, the agony of loneliness gets minimized in contact with the beauty of nature. When someone comes in contact with the beauty of nature, he or she is to experience or enjoy happiness. Imagination, when works in recollection, recollection, when someone is trying to recollect some experiences that took place in the past. Imagination, if gets mixed with the recollecting materials, becomes a great source of happiness and creativity. The poet becomes extremely happy, and the result is the poem. So creativity is the poem. So try to understand the theme. This poem is very, very important for theme writing for your exam. And this is my suggestion to you that you please memorize this. If this poem is straight in the SSC exam, you can write it outright, straight. You just try to memorize this. Only 2 lines, 2 sentences. The agony of loneliness gets minimized in contact with the beauty of nature. Imagination, when works in recollection, becomes a great source of happiness and creativity. So this is all for today. And next class, I will try to come to you according to the schedule and with another model question. Thank you very much. Thank you.